All right, Coach Chris here with the second part of our extension-based back pain talk on training do's and don'ts. All right, so training don'ts. Okay, what don't we want to do? All right, once we put our body into a better position, which in our first talk we talked about exercises to use as prep strategies, kind of like flex our spine a little bit, kind of stack everything on top of one another. Now we can load them through strategies that do the same thing. All right, so with that in mind, one of the things we don't want to do, we want to stay away from, not forever, but I would say for if you're experiencing chronic pain, 4 weeks while you kind of put things back into place, would be an RDL or a hinge. All right, I'm going to show you why. All right, if I pick up a barbell here, all right, my back is already arched, and then I go into a position that is going to further arch it. Okay, I already start to feel it right about here. All right, so then I'm just going to go below it, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll be okay. Then I stand up and I arch more as I go along. So literally all I'm doing here is just driving my back into a worse position. I add weight, I just kind of multiply that, right? So again, not to say that we're never going to do that, but for now we want to kind of use different strategies. The other thing that I wouldn't do right now is bench press or even dumbbell press with 2 dumbbells, and here's the reason why. So I'm on the ground, okay, and we know that my back is already somewhat arched. Okay, so then I bring the weight down, I arch my back, I try to push it back up. All right, the more arch I create for myself, the more I'm doing the same thing, driving my spine in that position. Even if I don't do that, even if I'm pressing perfectly, all right, at the very best, I'm blocking my rib cage's ability or my spine's ability to go backwards. All right, so all we're doing with an exercise like that is driving ourselves forward. And again, I'm not saying by any means that the bench press is bad. I love the bench press, but again, I prep my body first, and I'm not in pain at the moment. So again, we're going to just replace that with some other stuff right now. The final thing to not do right now would be to row with 2 arms. All right, so I'm doing a cable row, okay, and I'm sitting down. All right, and I see this all the time where people are sitting on the cable row, feet are bent, and they're arching. Okay, they're using their back, and what's happening is when I pull my arms back, it tends to pull my rib cage forward if I don't have good control. Okay, whereas the difference would be, okay, I draw my ribs down, I use my abs to help me keep my spine back so it doesn't come into extension, and then I'm in a much better spot. Okay, but that takes a little bit of time, and that's something that we want to use, the right exercises to help to drive us into a better position, before we go back to doing things like that. So let's talk about modifications. Now, from a main lift for our lower body, okay, one of my favorite exercises is squatting. All right, and squatting is a great exercise for clients or for people with extension-based back pain because it helps us to stack our bodies and load properly when done properly. All right, the thing that we want to avoid with squatting would be doing this move where I stick my butt out like a bat dance move. All right, we've been taught to do this by powerlifting, and bodybuilding to some degree. But the problem with that is it does the same thing as the RDL. My squat looks like a deadlift, and as a result, it gives me the same result, which would be, again, arching of my back or pushing me further into that position of, pain. So some modifications that we can make to help us squat better would be to put a slight heel lift under our heels. All right, and what this helps me to do is immediately squat down straight, and you can see that as I do that, my torso, my head stays on top of my torso, it stays here. So I'm just using the full weight of gravity to pull me down and pull me up. All right, so this is how we want to load. And as far as loading goes, a couple things that I recommend would be holding things out in front. Okay, and the first way that we do that would be with a goblet squat. The goblet squat is a great, easily accessible exercise. Most gyms go up to over 100 pounds. And with this exercise, again, I'm just holding it out in front of me. Okay, a couple things that I want to do here. I'm thinking about pushing my knees forward by pushing this, as opposed to pushing my butt back. I can dig my heels back to find my hamstrings a little bit. That'll help to take some pressure off of my knees. And I can just kind of tighten my abs and drop my ribs down a little bit to make sure that everything goes straight. If you can't remember any of that, just squat straight. And again, I just drop straight down and I come straight up. And the weight in front of me is just helping to pull me into a good position and reinforce that idea. All right? By the same token, once I max out a goblet squat, okay, we're going to go with a Zercher squat, which again is another one of my favorites. Okay, so the Zercher squat is one where we hold the bar out in front of us. With this one, I would recommend maybe getting a mat or just something that, or even an Eric's pad, something that we can use to cushion the bar. Hook it under my elbows or in my elbow pits here. Take 2 steps away, feet about shoulder width apart, keeping my elbows up. And again, it's just pulling me straight down. And I love this drill because it is really challenging on my core. I don't really need to use that much weight to get a great training effect. And again, it's just going to help me to put me into a better position. Once I max weight out here, or I'm kind of moved beyond the level where my legs are the point of failure, then I can move to something like a front squat, which there are hundreds of tutorials out there on that. But that's another position where my arms are out in front, and again, it's putting me into a better position. And one of the things is never sacrifice quantity or quality for quantity. If you start to feel your back as you're squatting, you're using too much weight. So make sure that you can use a weight that allows you to travel up and down flawlessly and you're not feeling it in your joints. And so if I'm coming up and down, I'm standing up and I start to hinge like that, that means my body's being compromised. So it should I should be able to oppose gravity where everything is coming up nice and straight, all right? It feels fluid. So again, use the right weight for you, all right? Now, for pushing, okay, and this is an important point. I want you to look at my shoulder blades here. All right, notice that my shoulder blades are flush against my back, all right, so you can't see them, as opposed to being here, okay? What that's doing is literally helping to push my rib cage back and get into a better position, all right? The push-up is my favorite exercise to do that because the push-up is loading me into that position. And there are a million ways that we could potentially load a push-up, like putting a plate on my back or elevating my feet. But the basics with a push-up, at the top of my push-up, I want to make sure that my shoulder blades are apart, okay? I want to drop my ribs together so I'm not kind of leading with my lower body looking like I'm humping the ground there. And again, here in this position, I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to exhale as I go down. And then finish by pushing my shoulder blades apart and breathing in again. One more time. And what I would challenge you to do is work up to 20 push-ups where you can breathe in that fashion, or you can move slow at about a 3-second down, 3-second up pace. And from there you can start to elevate your feet. You can put a plate on your back. There's a million ways that you can do that. I'll post another video on that. But again, that's a great exercise. Now, our other alternative for that would be a band press. Okay, and most gyms have cable stations where you can do this. But again, band press is another exercise where, like the push-up, we're getting the shoulder blades apart. So again, I breathe in at the top here. I exhale, and I press. Fly motions as well, fair game. So breathe in here. Those are both great things to do that don't necessarily require a lot of weight, which is our goal, is to load our body without overloading our body. So again, make sure the key cue there, shoulder blades stay apart the entire time at the top, and I'm able to finish that way. So our last thing to think about is rowing. Okay, so again, the modification here is pretty simple. All right, we are going to pull, but we're just going to pull with one arm. All right, so for alternating band row, what I'm going to do is just sit down, get nice and tall in this position, and again, drop my ribs down so that my rib cage doesn't come forward. Breathe in here, pull back, come back, breathe in, exhale, pull back. One more time, breathe in, exhale, pull back. The other alternative, which is another favorite of mine, would be a long sitting one arm row. So I'm in this position, again I breathe, exhale, and I pull. One more time, deep breath in, exhale, and I pull. So really anything that involves a one arm pulling or alternating pulling is fair game. So lat pull downs with alternation, awesome. One arm dumbbell row, go for it. Just watch the bilateral pulling and just attempt to keep your ribs dropped down so we're not arching our backs.